Good morning. It is Thursday morning and I am in the home pasture and I am standing next to a power pole that started a grass fire. I posted on Instagram and Facebook the day that it happened last week. We had a small grass fire here. It's not very many acres. I actually haven't been up to check the top part of it to see all that it burned, but when the fire department was here, they said 3 to 5. I guess I heard from a friend that in the newspaper it said it was 13.5. So I don't really know. Somewhere between 3 to 13 acres burned. Started at this power pole. There's not a transformer here. I'll show you the pole in a second. But what happened was Jeff found a piece of styrofoam like board insulation, like originally like a 4x8 sheet probably is what it was, but it had been broke. We've had so much wind this summer and so many like dust devils. I see them go through the fields. It's affecting my haying situation. Like everybody is saying that we've had just an insane amount of dust devils. So what the power company and the fire department guesses kind of happened is that the piece of styrofoam board insulation got picked up by a dust devil, hit the power lines. It has to hit 2 power lines in order for it to create a spark or arc or whatever it does. I don't work for the power company. And it dropped a spark down onto the ground here. And so it started here, burned back this way, went up into the cut across and burned into this hayfield just slightly. It's not a huge deal. Is it ideal? No, of course not. The grass in the home pasture has been grazed. This hayfield is just not good because of our winter and our lack of moisture and rain. And so I was not planning on haying this field anyhow. This is if I have money to reseed and time to reseed at some point, and when we are not in a potential drought, that will be the first field that I am reseeding. So it is what it is. I'm gonna go check the cut across because that's kind of, there was more sagebrush and more grass up there, and so it did kind of accelerate once it kind of crested the top of this hill. So we're gonna go look at that, and then we're gonna go cut some hay, and I'm gonna talk about a few other things that have kind of been going on here in the last week or so since I have seen you guys. I have been posting a lot more stuff on Instagram and Facebook, and so if you're not following me over there, I would highly recommend you checking out those platforms because some of the smaller and more day-to-day stuff does happen over on those platforms. So here is the power line that it started from. It then burned this direction and then kind of went up the hill and over into the hayfield. You could tell that the insulation had burned because there was actually a line burned through the top layer from the power line, and so there was just a very distinct straight line that had been burned on the insulation board. I would like to put the cows, the heifers, and Michelle's cows and Ferguson, I would like to give them access back into the cut across, but I can see that I do have a little bit of fence work that needs to be done before then. All in all, the fence did really well. You know, there are metal posts, there are wood posts. Definitely burned a little bit, but the structure, the fence is still up. It's not collapsed or anything like that. So yeah, just like one broken wire down there. I'm gonna drive the rest of this perimeter and see how much fence work needs to be done before the cows can come back up here. The grass up here is much taller than in the home pasture, and so it definitely burned a lot faster once it came up here. And over this hill there's more sagebrush than there is in the home pasture, but there was definitely more fuel for the fire up in this little part of the pasture. was actually not the first person to see the fire. Our neighbor saw the fire. The neighbor called the fire department, called my mom. My mom called me. I was in the house actually editing Ethel's video. I came out, looked up at the home pasture, and I was like, oh yeah, no, we totally have a fire. I could see that it probably came from the power line, so I assumed that it was a transformer that sparked. I know they're not supposed to do that, but it was in the 90s that day. It is super dry, as you can tell. Not that, so if something does spark, like now the fire risk is growing, increasing every single day because we are hot and dry, and we are windy this summer. So came out, saw it. I did again call the fire department just to make sure that they knew location and to not actually turn in at the address approach, but to go past it and turn in at the hay yard. And Jeff went and hooked up the bucket on the tractor and went to go cut a fire line. Fire department arrived pretty quickly, although I don't know how long it took from that initial phone call because I didn't make that first phone call. But Campbell County Fire Department arrived very quickly. They took care of it. Power company was also on site and figured out like what happened and stuff. So thank you very much to everybody who came and responded. Oh, and our neighbors actually that has a construction business, they brought up one of their water trucks and ran through and helped put out some of the smoldering stuff. So, and then all my neighbors actually called, texted, checked on me, asked if we needed anything. So, man, the light. That was really nice. It's definitely, out here we know that we are entering fire season big time this year because of how hot and how dry it has become. So we are all looking out for each other. That was really nice that everybody reached out and just asked if there was anything they could do. And so I truly appreciate the community and the neighbors that I have here. Since I am driving through the heifer pasture, we'll go ahead and check the water tank. It's obviously full. And there's some of the girls. These are all of Michelle's cows and their calves, and we still have herd segregation and separation happening, although we do see them mingle together. Oh, aren't you pretty? You're getting a bath from your mama. Look at that cute white face. You guys are growing fast. Yes, you're a big boy. Oh, so handsome. And there's Ferguson hanging out with his ladies. My heifers are way over there. It's not actually that far, but it looks real far on the camera. There they are. Cow water tank is also full. On the list of things to do is to replace mineral tubs. I can see that one is knocked over, and so it's obviously empty. And so today, hopefully we'll get some mineral down for the cows and for the heifers. These guys are all hanging out up in this. There's a low spot and then back up the hill, so they're on the back side of that hill. Most of them are. Bambi and her calf are unfortunately in with the cows. She executed a jailbreak from the heifer pasture and from Ferguson and went and hung out with her cow friends. So it is what it is. They were together for a few days. I don't know if she was cycling during that time. Jeff almost got them back in, and calf wouldn't go, and then Bambi decided she didn't want to move without Cake, and we just haven't had a chance to come down together and move her out. And at this point, she's potentially been bred by either Max or LOL. So it is what it is. She wants to be with her friends. I don't want to stress her out. Would I have liked to have her breed with Ferguson? Yes. Is this the problem with, sharing fence lines? Yes. So like I've said previously, that is something at some point I would like to rectify. I would like more fence in my breeding pastures just so I can put some buffer space between them, and hopefully in the years to come I can do that. But Max and LOL are not in with the heifers and have not been. That is what I actually needed to happen, was to keep them out of the heifers, just because I don't want one of them breeding the heifers. And so if Bambi gets in with the cows and with Max and LOL, although it's not necessarily what I want, it's not as concerning as if Max and LOL got in with the heifers. So all in all, if I could have corrected the problem sooner, if I'd had time and a chance, you know, I would have, but it is what it is, and it's really okay. Let me catch you up on some of all the things that have been happening here. So it is haying season. I have talked about that, but I have yet to produce any haying content for you. And just because of one reason or another, it just hasn't happened. Ethel obviously threw like a big kink in my plans and my schedule, and I do have an update for you guys on Ethel. But Jeff has spent way more time in the tractor than I have, in all transparency, and he just started the Creekside field, and I'm going to go switch with him because he's going to go back to the ranch and do some stuff, and I am going to cut for a while, and then we'll switch later on in the day again. I have primarily been taking care of like the harvest host and the farm store and the stuff back at the ranch while he's been spending time in the tractor. And we've had a few problems, nothing super major, but just frustrations that go along with haying season, and it comes every single year. It's expected, and you know that there's going to be problems and breakdowns and whatnot. But Friday night, one of our fields we got 10 bales off of. It's like a 65-acre field. We got 10 bales. Those dust devils that I was talking about, windrows look great. Jeff raked it. He was going to go bale in the morning. Came through, the wind picked up in the middle of the night. When he went back out to bale, windrows were significantly smaller and scattered. So 10 bales off of like almost 70 acres. And we knew the yield wasn't going to be good. This field that he's cutting here, it's not going to be great, but I need bales. It is borderline like not worth cutting, and that field, because of the wind situation and stuff, was definitely not worth cutting. But it was cut, had to be baled. We've had a few mechanical issues, tractor issues, tire issues, nothing that couldn't be fixed or solved, but we had to put a new tube in a tire on the 6410. So Jeff got it taken off. He took that one to town. We put it back on in the morning when he got it back. The 4055 blew a sidewall on a back tire, so I had to put a back tire on. Obviously that's not like something that's super fun and cheap to do, but do you think he's gonna stop? I need him to stop. I'm gonna switch with him. I'll just catch you guys up to speed real quick, and then I guess I'll go chase him down. So Bighorn Tire came out and they fixed the tire in the field because it was up in the hayfield, and obviously like I don't want to ruin the rim. So that got done, and there was thunderstorms potentially yesterday, and like we got like 7 drops of rain, and I knew we were probably just going to get a tiny bit of rain, but we've had so much wind that I'm not going to lay down hay unless we have a couple of days where I know that hay can get raked and baled. And what we're finding this season, this summer, every haying season is different, is that like I've always known this, but like the grass lays better when it's just flat on the ground, although like you want to get it put up as quickly as possible. I am not having to wait for it to dry because it is dry. But what happens once you put it into windrows and stuff, then you have some height on it and the wind can catch it. So it's better, I'm finding it's just better to leave it lay and then like rake and bale as close together as possible. So that's kind of what we're doing. So just trying to time that out with like everything else that we have going on and whatnot. So yeah, it's been, things have been chaotic and stuff around here. I had my biggest fundraiser of the year for Wyo Gives. That was on July 10th. Thank you everyone who donated. I so appreciate it. We raised almost $25,000. And then the Hughes Charitable Foundation, they do $1 million incentive pool throughout the state. And so we'll hear shortly how much we raised from that incentive pool. And potentially we raised up to another $10,000. So that would bring our total, if we get that whole incentive pool, we don't know yet. They match date of online donations. I think we'll get the full 10,000, but I'm not going to count on it until I actually see those numbers. But yeah, somewhere between $25,000 and $35,000 was raised for Edible Prairie Project. Thank you so much if you guys were one of those people that donated. I so appreciate it. So we had that. I had all the Ethel stuff happen. Update on Ethel. I posted this again on Facebook and Instagram, but I want to talk about it on here too. So if you don't follow me, you know what's happening. Tuesday, I took her back to the vet. So Friday, that was the last time that she had pooped and peed. Like she was peeing, but like not very much. Her appetite was declining. Her water intake was declining. She wasn't like lethargic or anything, but like her mopiness was increasing, and I could tell she was just not feeling good. So I talked to the vet Monday. They just checked in for an update. I saw no signs of infection on her incision. she didn't appear to be running a fever, although I didn't take her temperature because that would just stress her out. But just the lack of appetite and stuff. I took her to the vet. They wanted to see her Tuesday. I ran her back over to the vet clinic Tuesday morning. They ran blood. Her blood volume is like low. Her platelets are low. Lots of inflammation. So what they're doing is IV fluids, of course, trying to get her hydrated. She was dehydrated. They put some dextrose in to give her some energy, some sugar. They were going to do something to help her stomach, like an ulcer guard, or I don't know what exactly they ended up actually doing. They talked on Tuesday about that she would maybe potentially need a blood transfusion if the fluids didn't help things get going. They were going to run IV antibiotics again, although she doesn't, like, her white blood cell count was like good, but she still needed to be on antibiotics for the surgery. They figured she probably was having some internal bleeding, which is common with horses and donkeys after a major surgery. Obviously, she's not, like, she wasn't down, like, she loaded in the trailer, she's walking on her own, so she's not losing, like, so much blood internally that, you know, she couldn't get up, but they just needed to get her feeling better. So fluids is the big thing, some energy, and get her stomach feeling better. So I have gotten just a little bit of updates from her. She has been eating a little. She has been pooping. She has been peeing. So that's great. They were going to switch her to oral antibiotics and oral anti-inflammatories. So that's good, instead of having to do IV stuff. They ran a bag of fluid yesterday, and it's early Thursday morning, so I haven't gotten an update yet. But hopefully I'll get to chat with the vet today with Dr. Shaw and figure out when I get to bring her back, and hopefully she is feeling better. So not ideal to have to take her back. You know, that's not what I wanted to do, but she needed to be there. So, yeah, hopefully she gets feeling better. That has been stressful and kind of just like in the back of my mind that she's there. So yeah, you know, grass fire, Ethel, tire hanging problems, which again, like, I know those things are going to happen. It's just like, what thing is going to break during haying? Ethel again, you know, it's been a couple of weeks, and like, it's going to get better. Things are going to get better. Oh, the gator was also broken temporarily too. It was overheating, and my friend Mike and his wife Nicole came out and they worked on it and bled some air out of the coolant system. It had a pretty significant air bubble in the coolant system. So it seems to be working now. That's great. It's really hard to not have the gator. Like, it's definitely like one of the tools that we use often. So even just like grading steers in the morning, checking cows, like I have workarounds for all those things, but it is just so nice when we have the gator operating. You know, even like Grace was like, can I take Bean for a ride? And I was like, nope. So thank you, Mike and Nicole, for getting that fixed. It is so nice to have this. Yeah, it is what it is. It's just been, I won't lie, it's been a hard couple of weeks, and it just, oh, Jeff's making the loop back around. Everything feels hard right now, and like, it's getting better. And when I posted like Ethel's update that she was back at the vet clinic and stuff, like, and I posted some of the tire stuff and everything, and everyone's like, bad luck come in threes, and it'll get better soon. And I do believe that. I have experienced that a million times in my life, that bad luck comes in threes. But I think I'm on 6 or 9. So if we could be done with the bad luck, and so much of it is perspective, and I'm trying to, you know, it's okay. We're haying, we're gonna get enough hay, hopefully. Tires can be fixed. Ethel's okay. She's where she needs to be. She's making progress in the right direction. Like, things are okay. But yeah, it has felt hard. I could use a win, like just an easy, this went the way it was supposed to go. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been dealing with the last couple of weeks. But I'm gonna, as Jeff makes the loop back around, I am going to make him get out of this tractor so I can take a turn and he can go back and do some of the stuff around the ranch that he needs to do. I have made 2 trips around this field. I haven't spent much time in this field at all, and Have not spent much time mowing. I have helped a lot with haying over the years since I've been on the ranch, but mowing was not the thing that I did. In all honesty, my watch thinks I'm working out. That's great. I don't want to record an outdoor workout. Thank you. I usually would rake. That was kind of always what I would do. I enjoy raking. I don't mind haying in general, although it is frustrating this year that, it's the same amount of work and it's a fraction of the yield that it is, like last year or in other years and stuff. But that is just dry land farming in Wyoming. So I haven't spent a ton of time in the mower. I am doing things that haven't done in the past, doing things that I'm not super comfortable with, and I'm making myself do those things so that I can be more comfortable with them and I can have more experience. So the mower is one. I would like to spend more time in the baler as well, and I'm hoping to do that. It just kind of depends on like where I need to spend my time, and that's why Jeff has been doing so much of the haying, because there's just certain things that I need to do and that Jeff can't, and that's okay. I have a nonprofit to run. It's fundraising season. It just is what it is. So thankfully Jeff has been just doing a great job with the haying. Tractor's running good. Mow is running good. Some of the grass is so thin that it is just skipping over it. I can tell. It is what it is. So I know everyone's going to say in the comments, like, you should plant this grass, and you should plant this grass, and you should do this, and you should irrigate. I can't irrigate. There is no water here to irrigate. There is aquifers below the surface. This field has some rough spots. Oh, I cut my finger the other day. So we don't have irrigation. I don't have reservoirs to irrigate out of. I don't have a pivot. Like, the fields are not set up for pivots. I would never be able to pull an irrigation permit from the state of Wyoming because the volume of water is not here that we need to irrigate. This is dryland farming. It is what it is. There are things I could do to improve the soil and to improve yield. Not denying that at all. But irrigation is not one of those. That is off the table. One thing I could do is reseed all these fields, and that is something that I want to do. It is expensive. It is well worth the expense of that, but if we look back at our yields over the last 10 years, we have had more years of drought than we've had of good rainfall, and I, at this point, just do not feel like it is worth the risk to put seed into the ground and have it potentially not grow, because regardless of how drought tolerant the grass may be, once it's mature, you have to have moisture in order for it to germinate and to get established. When I do reseed, I will probably be doing it in the fall in hopes of getting the spring moisture to get it to germinate. It is very hard to spring seed here just because we get periods of snow melts and the frost comes out and we get runoff, and obviously you can't do it then. It's too wet, and then you can try and get your seed in the ground, and then it can just dry up and the moisture stops, the rain stops. So that's kind of what happened this year. We had some spring moisture and then it just kind of stopped. So I would probably fall seed when I do get to start reseeding fields. And I will do drought tolerant grasses, and I will do more diversified grasses. This field is primarily crested wheat. Different types of grasses will thrive under different circumstances, and you want a diverse type of grass in your hay fields in this part of the country so that you kind of hedge your bets and get something that grows decently. So yes, I know that I can do things to improve my hay yield and make it better despite conditions, but there is only so much I can do. It is dryland farming. It is 14 to 16 inches of precipitation a year, and that includes snow melt. The stretch of field behind me is very rough. There is still some residual sagebrush in this top portion. It is getting less and less every year. The more it gets cut, the less it grows. So we're making progress on the sagebrush, but man, it is rough, and my camera will not stay attached. It just keeps falling off. So there will be no filming happening in that top part. So definitely one of the rougher fields. And it's not the whole field, and kind of once you get into it more, it gets less rough, but there is still some sagebrush that makes for a very bumpy ride. The one thing I don't like about haying, other than the fact that like stuff's always broken and nothing ever like you make a plan and it just never, big bump. Your plan never comes to fruition the way that you envision it. And I've learned to expect that over the years of haying, that, you know, we're gonna cut on Monday, rake and bale on Tuesday, and then it ends up being something completely different for one reason or another. And like, that's fine. But one thing I don't love about haying is the bouncing. It actually really upsets my stomach. And I kind of get used to it after you spend more time in the tractor, but like the first hour is just kind of rough for me for whatever reason. It just makes me feel a little queasy. And yeah, this field is definitely bouncy. So. Grace made me a friendship bracelet the other day. It was very sweet of her. Jeff is going to be back here shortly and we're going to switch. I'm going to head back to the ranch. I have my board of directors for Edible Prairie Project coming out tonight. We do an annual dinner at the farm with the board and their families, and that's always really enjoyable and something that I look forward to. So that is happening tonight. So I have some things to do to prepare for that. I'm going to edit this video and get it out for you guys so you can see it. I will keep you updated on how Ethel is doing, and you know, I just would recommend you guys follow on Facebook and Instagram if you use those platforms. I do post pretty much almost every day. I wouldn't say every day, but like multiple times a week I am posting over there. So just quick little updates of like some of the stuff that doesn't make it into the longer form content, but I do try and keep obviously the big stuff happening over here on YouTube as well. We're going to try and get this field mowed today, although Jeff is going to have to shut down early because I will need his help. We have 3 harvest hosts coming this afternoon, and then with the board of directors there and dinner happening, you know, I just never know when they're going to arrive, so I will, you know, just need an extra set of hands back at the ranch for late afternoon. That tends to be when everybody kind of rolls in for harvest host. Farm store is open today as well, so just a busy day on the ranch as per usual. I know that things are going to get better, and I know that like every day is not going to feel as hard as the last couple of weeks have felt. It will be nice to get Ethel home and get her feeling better. That is just a lot of stress in the back of my mind. And like, I haven't heard anything yet today, and that's okay. I feel like no news is good news, but I would like to visit with Dr. Shaw today and get kind of a more in-depth update. But she's doing okay. We're making progress. We're making progress on the haying situation. So get this field cut today, most of it. I don't know that we'll get it all done just because, like I said, I need Jeff back out the ranch, and then raked and baled tomorrow. And then there's only one more field after this that I'm going to cut. There is another hay field down here in summer pasture that I'm not going to cut because the yield is just not going to be worth it. Then we can get the bales gathered and get them back home, and then the cows can come down here. Thank you everyone for being here. I appreciate it so much. I hope that you have a great day. I hope that whatever projects you're working on in your life, I hope that they're going well. And I know that things are going to, like I said, they're not going to always be so hard. But again, thank you for being here. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I will see you next time.